Hello everyone, this is HTOMario, and I'm going to be demonstrating, entertaining you, celebrating some other words that have nothing to do with this game. So yeah, Terran against Zerg. This is against a player called crBox. Don't mind the screens, I don't know how to flip those. But he is a high Grandmaster, I think top 50, top 40 player. He's really talented. I enjoyed playing a game against him, and I've seen him around quite a bit, so I always enjoy playing against people that are talented, because it makes for more interesting games, and I'm sure it does for you too. In this game, you see me go for a Reaper opening. As you noticed just a moment ago, I halted my SCV production to put down a supply depot, and then I halted the supply depot production to go back to building the barracks, and then I right-clicked on the supply depot so it would finish the supply depot right after the barracks was done. Neat little trick. I scout with my SCV, and then I attack with my Reaper in a different direction. So the goal of this, and this is a little bit on times 2, we're going to slow it down. So the goal of this is to scout out exactly what's going on. We want to see how much gas does he have, how many Zerglings does he have, how many Queens, how many drones, does he have an expansion, so the Reaper is a lot more about for information. And we get a barracks, a command center behind it, because we do want to expand, because if he's playing standard, he's going to expand. And a factory and a reactor, relatively about the same timing, which means that, they're going to be able to be swapped right away. The Reaper is in his base doing a bit of harass. He does make his drones into gas geysers. That's pretty good. It means I can't harass there for the moment. Kind of poking out in his base, and I'm saying, I don't see that much gas, but I see a minor amount of Zerglings. I saw a lot of drones in his main. He canceled those gas geysers. Still a few amount of Zerglings, so I'm not that concerned about an all-in, so I'm just going to go ahead and build up back at home. Getting my second gas geyser, because once I have 2 command centers, 2 orbitals, you have a surplus of money, and you really need to be able to spend that. And if he goes Roach Warren, which if we look at the production tab he is going, we need to be able to use gas units to defend those gas units. So what we're following it up with here is a starport, and we're getting a tech lab on the barracks. So this is kind of my standard Terran against Zerg harass. And you can see me do it in the most recent few games. It's not my standard, but it's definitely a fun way to play. I love harassing, and I'm kind of going through his base and saying, you have a lot of larvae saved up. This is kind of fishy. And going to the main, I definitely want to kind of scout around. I see not that many drones. I see a Roach Warren, and that explains it, and then I realize, uh-oh, he's got a Roach Warren on the way, and I cancel my Hellions, and I start building Widow Mines, and I'm thinking, he doesn't have a lair, but Widow Mines is a great way to hold them off, because, they'll do a lot of splash damage, and I start beginning Marauder production. I swap the Tech Lab back, and I'm thinking, a Banshee would do also great as well, but I haven't swapped the barracks with the starport yet, and I don't want to waste the time because I don't know how close those roaches are to finishing. So I really want to get the Marauder into a bunker, which I can repair, so that's nice. And it seems that the roaches are there on its way, so I went with kind of the right choice. I don't think a Marauder takes as long to make as a Banshee, but the Banshee can be more useful afterwards. So I just get 2 Marauders to put up at the front, keep producing Widow Mines, and I get a Viking. Since I'm not making a Banshee, I want to make my starport useful, and I decide to go ahead and start sniping Overlords and maybe do some scouting on the map. So that's what the Viking is for. I also get another command center because I feel like he cannot push into me, and I feel relatively safe. So if you look over here, he's trying to snipe the Widow Mines because he's taking a lot of damage from the Marauders inside the bunker. So when he was able to successfully kill the Widow Mines, another one was charge was about to come off. He would take more damage, and he would have ended up losing all of those roaches. And he's macroing behind this, as you can tell by the production tab. I now swap it, and I do go into Cloak Banshee. You always want to start the Cloak before the Banshee. That way, the Cloak is done when you go attack with the Banshee. You don't waste time getting him ready, or you don't waste time with him being able to prepare by your Banshee not being able to cloak for the Cloak. So once I have my 3rd command center down, it's really easy to get to have again a mineral surplus. So I get another gas geyser. I should probably get another 2, but I'm planning on doing a lot of harass with Hellions and Banshee. So most Zergs do not stay on Roach Tech for so long. It can be kind of bad, but it can also be really good, because if you are able to do damage with the roaches, you know, you're definitely able to. You could probably take the game, but it's not a risk a lot of Zerg players want to take, because you invest a lot of gas into the roaches, which means that your tech is delayed, and if I just hard counter it and you have no way of attacking into me, you're actually behind. So now what he's doing is he's getting his lair, he's getting his 1-1 upgrades, but you know, I can't quite see these yet. This is about my standard. I have several factories timing. You know, I'm gonna, you know, usually after several factories I try to drop double armory. And a lot of pro players try to do it before. Well, not a lot. I mean, there's one player I know who plays mech who tries to get it before, but I personally don't like it, because, you know, if he has a lot of units, you delay your units a lot for those upgrades. But in the later stages of the game, it's good. I guess I'm playing it more cautiously and safe. Not that getting double upgrades is safe by any means, but it is safer than the previous alternative way. So now I'm floating my command center over to my third. Normally I have this as a planetary fortress, but I feel like I'm pretty on par with him, and I see that he has his third base. He doesn't have many units, and I don't think he can attack into me. So I do see a few Zerglings. I'm not very concerned with those, but I do need to move myself to defend Zerglings. I'm not sure how he knew that my expo was going down, but he definitely is trying to stop it. So with my expo going down, I'm thinking, you know, I need an engineering bay, and I do end up in a bit accidentally producing another one. But I need my engineering bay to be able to drop missile turrets, because around the 11 to 12 minute mark, mutalisks can be on their way heading towards your base. Although he did get a lot of roaches and it's probably delayed, you know, I still want to be able to get it around this timing. As you can tell, the spire is a little bit over halfway done. So I'm producing my missile turrets when I do each mineral line, and then one by the factories as I secure my base, and I build 3 more factories, because once I'm up on 6 gas, for every gas you have, you can afford a factory, which is quite handy, because, you know, you want to be able to kind of not outproduce the Zerg, but the kind of style that Zerg have been going with lately is that they try to trade armies constantly and keep harassing you until they whittle you down and you have nothing left. So I like to keep up with that by getting an extra factory reactor. Instead of 5, I get 6. You know, it's normally like you get 3 tech labs, 2 reactors, but I get 3 reactors to help keep my money down, so that definitely helps me by getting like Widow Mines or Hellbats. So I'm thinking, you know, I've seen a lot of Zerglings and I haven't seen that many roaches. It's probably going to be a Mutalisk follow-up, but either way, I'm going to start preparing for roaches as well. So I get Drilling Claws, which are okay against roaches, and I get a Thor. I already have some tanks out, and I scanned and I saw the Mutalisks. So I know at this stage, you know, it is going to be an aerial battle, so I drop an extra 3 missile turrets just in case I'm not at a location, and he's attacking me, so I'm thinking, okay, I have to go ahead and defend this, but I can't lose too many, you know, I can't keep everything out of position in order to do this. So one good way to defend these type of things is to rally your units over, and my Thor gets a little bit stuck, but a good way to defend against Mutalisk harass is if you have a missile turret nearby. Zerg players really don't want to... I have to cancel that orbital to get the Thor out. But Zerg players really don't want to attack into a missile turret that has a Thor behind it. So if you keep 1 Thor at each base, they're pretty safe against Mutalisk unless they have huge numbers, but then you also have Widow Mines. He's doing a good counter to my build. You know, I'm getting double upgrades, and I'm starting siege tank production again, but what I have isn't very good against swarm hosts. Against swarm hosts you need a lot of Hellbats and siege tanks, because the swarm hosts, they can send never-ending free units, and you can't have those free units trading for your Widow Mines if there's an Overseer. You know, you may kill the first round. Oh, he lost a lot of Mutalisks. And this tells me, you know, I'm not very concerned about the Mutalisk threat anymore. I can really go into the ground production. He's most likely not going to keep up the Mutalisk production now that I'm so prepared for it. So producing 3 Widow Mines, and I should be starting some tanks soon. I don't quite. Oh, I am supply blocked. So, but yeah, swarm house, you don't want to be trading free units for ones that cost, and siege tanks are pretty good at keeping them down. I also get a Raven, The Ravens are pretty good for later stages of the game. They're good at denying creep. So when you push out, you can use those for braining bombs, for roaches, just anything burrowed. You just try to deny the space, but he ends up backing out because it's not a lot of Zerglings, and I have some decent Widowmine positioning, and with my sensor tower I can see most attacks coming, because he has to go all the way around the map to be able to engage my new base. I am expanding away from him, and that's one reason I took this cluster one, is so that I could take advantage of it now and then get the safe expansion later in the game. So I see the swarm hosts, and I realize, I'm going to need Hellbats and Sage Tanks, and I make my 4th planetary fortress. And he's being smart by producing Mutalisks, because I'm not going to be making much anti-air right now, but I do have a decent amount of Widow Mines, which actually ended up just taking out my Banshee, so that wasn't good for me. I start 2 more command centers because I have a lot of money, so I was thinking if I put down planetary fortresses, I could use less units there to defend against any type of swarm host attack, and that makes it easier for me to move my army around the map. I am using Hellbats and Thors to kind of hold it off while these command centers go down, and I'm producing more Hellbats and Siege Tanks since I have to trade units anyway. Sorry, there's a team chat for a friend of mine. Since I have to trade units anyway right now until I get them up, they might as well be mineral units, so the Hellbats are okay with that. They also do some splash damage. I'm also starting the armor upgrade for the buildings. I normally get them when I get my 3rd base, but I've been kind of, I got an orbital instead of a planetary, so I could lift that off and move it out anyway. So I wasn't very concerned about getting it earlier on. And I move my the command center out of the way so my units don't get stuck. I had a little Hellion Force I sent up here, so I scanned, or after the units were sent out, I can trade these heavy mineral units for gas units, and he lost like 3 swarm hosts, which is 600 minerals, which is about what I had in Hellbats there, and then an extra 300 gas. So that was a great trade for me, and it helped reduce the amount of locusts, which made it easier for my planetary fortress to kill it. He just tried to come in with some banelings, but I explode a lot of them, so he's not able to snipe that base as he wanted. Just having a few Widow Mines there definitely helped out. So I'm making these bases planetary fortress now, and I'm thinking, I gotta start getting across the map. I get a 2nd planetary fortress over here, and I repair this one. I don't want it to die, but once 2 planetary fortresses are out with building armor, it's really hard for the Zerg locusts to kill them if you have like 3 or 4 SCVs repairing them, if they don't have too many locusts, and you'll just never have to worry about defending that position unless they send more units, so it's really handy. You can tell that I really like planetary fortresses. My +3 attack and armor are almost done. I'm kind of maxed out, and I have a decent sized army, so I'm thinking, I'm going to scan that, see everything that's there, and I'm going to move out, because now I feel relatively safe against the swarm hosts with these 2 planetaries, and they have building armor. I want to just kind of go the long way around, so he has no way of really sensing that I'm moving, and so far if you look at the radar tower, he isn't moving out, and I took like 6 SCVs, and I sent them in between the command centers, and I turned on auto repair so they could deal with it while I wasn't paying attention. Drop mules at my new base, and move those units to repair. Try to get another base up there as well. So, the swarm hosts are really useful against TvZ Mech, but one way you can circumvent them is by going and moving around and making the locusts chase you, and making the Zerg constantly move, because now I can attack into him, and he's forced to get into a different position. So I'm chasing him with Widow Mines, and the banelings move in, so I try to burrow, and I take out a decent size of his army, and I sieged up, but now I decide, I'm going to go ahead and move out away from these locusts. And get into a better position, drop some starports so I can get some Ravens and battlecruisers and Banshees. So I take out these workers, and right now he's at 67 to my 82. I haven't really killed that many workers, so I invested a lot in his army. And his army supply is probably stronger than mine. Go to active forces it is. I'm moving in. I'm making more siege tanks, you know, because he has a high surplus of ground units, and siege tanks are always cost efficient against them. And I'm matching them up with ravens so that I have a lot of splash on the ground, and then hellbats for even more. I'm not getting any widow mines yet because he still does have a lot of swarm hosts. So I'm still trying to evade the locusts, and you can see that I've taken out one base, and I've got hellbats at a different base. And if we just pause this for a second, you can see that the hellbats are actually taking out this base. They do quite a bit of damage. And then we move into here, and we siege up, and we drop the PDD to slow down the damage from the swarm hosts, because the locusts are affected by PDD. And we try to do as much damage as we can. I end up taking out the spore crawler so that my banshees can keep attacking there, and I've kept them alive for most of the game. So I'm starting to begin some medevac production because this makes it easier to fight the locusts. If you pair your hellbats with medevacs, they don't take nearly as much damage, and I have all my upgrades, so that makes it easier to move around the map. And I'm producing Thors because I saw Ultralisks. So against Ultralisks, you don't really want siege tanks unless you have a lot of widow mines, and you can force them into really good engagements. But the ultimate unit that you want against the Ultralisk is either battlecruisers with the Yamato or the Thor. They're definitely the most efficient. And you can see me hiding a base up here because he's most likely to check the one in the, right above me instead of the one twice above me. I'm also beginning air production because I want to switch to air soon. That's why I did start those other, starports, and I'm starting to raise my raven count as much as I can while still producing exactly what I need to. So over here, I decide, should be about time to move out again, and I go ahead and unsiege. I have plenty of medevacs, and I should send, more SCVs over to auto repair, and that should keep me safe. So he's got a lot of banelings building. One of the ways you deal with banelings against a mech army, like hellbats, they're pretty good against hellbats, but if you split them up, they're about as effective as fighting against marauders. And he does send his locust out, so I try to attack into it, and Hunter Seeker missile his swarm host, and I do take a few out. And we're trading pretty evenly right now, which isn't something I want, so I went ahead and backed off from the battle. You always want to come out of the battle ahead against Zerg players. Otherwise, cost for cost, they usually have more bases than you. In this case, I am ahead in the base count. Actually, I thought I was ahead in the base count, but he's got these up here, he's got this, and he's got this, so he definitely did some droning in between. Or at least he moved his drones, because he's still only at 60 drones. I'm really hard-pressed because I know I need to get my expansions up. I need to establish more gas for my late-game Raven army. So what I'm doing is I'm starting to move across the map, and if he attacks into my bases, he attacks into planetaries. So I'm perfectly fine in trying to go around the map and trying to take out his expos, which leads him away from mine so that mine can heal up, or mine can mine up gas and valuable resources. He does try to throw in some more mutas. I don't know if they're from earlier, but I do have some Thors. The mutas kind of distract my Thors from firing on the Ultras, so I try to force my Thors to fire on the Ultralisks. And I do pull back a little bit here because I lost a lot of my buffer, but I decide, instead of pulling back, I have all these medevacs and I don't have any hellbats right now, so maybe I'll go around the map with these dropships and try to snipe some bases, because drop an instant Thor siege tank army in a base, and it's most likely going to die, and it's going to take a lot of resources to take it out. So distract him from that, I send a little small force down to the bottom. Since I have these bases up top, I'm not worried about resources, and I see these swarm hosts passing by. I decide, I'm going to drop on top of them while they're not burrowed, and then pick back up if it becomes a problem. So 1 goes down, 2 goes down, and he tries to get into position. I scan, and then another 2 go down, another 2 go down for the price of 1 siege tank, and then I try to get out of there and fly towards his base and then attack the bottom base. So now he's forced to choose, is he going to attack my expansion, or is he going to save his expansions up top, or is he going to save his base down below, which has all of its tech. He chose to attack my expansion, so I lift a few SCVs into the command center and leave a few there to die, and then I put some at the bottom, so he thinks, okay, I got all the SCVs. and then I see a few wedges here, but I drop on the ramp so I can siege up there, and it makes it even harder to push into this because, you know, siege tanks on a ramp. And then put some auto turrets on the ramp, so it kind of messes with the AI a little bit. I have to move that tank for the third one, so they attack the auto turrets instead of the siege tanks. So down below I'm killing his reinforcements, and we kind of have like a battle going in multiple places right now. I start Raven Energy and I drop my command center and I pick up the gas, and I can't land there, so I have to scan and kill off the Zergling. So he knows his base is going back up, but he has to go ahead and save the top right, and then he's got to go defend his base. I make this one a planetary fortress, so once again it takes more resources to go ahead and kill this than to defend it. You know, if he sends like 5 Ultralisks to attack it, it's going to die, but he still has to use 5 Ultralisks to do it, so they're not out attacking me somewhere else, instead of where if it was an orbital command, 2 Zerglings would be able to force me to kind of, you know, pay extra attention to there. So now I'm in the main base, and I decide that I'm gonna have to target down some of these crucial buildings, like the Ultralisk Cavern and then the spawning pool and the Roach Warren. So this really limits his production ability, but I am so far ahead on the economical situation where I have like 6,000 minerals, 1,300 gas, and I'm maxed out. So in reality, I'm actually incredibly far ahead, and he's struggling to get back into this game. He's building another spawning pool in another location. So this game is kind of over because, well, one, I'm severely ahead in economy, I'm severely ahead in army supply and bases, but he lost all of his infrastructure, so he has to make up back like 15 minutes of time, you know, get a lair again and a hive. So I dropped some auto turrets over here to kind of harass him. And I don't know quite how far behind he is, you know, you can just tell by that by the replay. But I start another, or I mean I clear this base out so I can get this base over here because it's easier to defend this base than the far top left. And I make it a planetary fortress, get my gases, and transfer some SUVs over there from the other base, which was overly saturated. And now we're trying to engage his army while my units harass up top, and this allows me to keep him away from my bases and target fire the Ultralisks, and you know, while I keep him away from my bases, I harass his. I'm a little clumped up, so the Ultras do a decent amount of damage, but I go ahead and lift up one of the Thors that was about to die and move it back up here. Drop down more PDDs on the different side where the Ultralisk isn't, and forcing them to look in a different place than, you know, everywhere else. As long as you keep them busy, you can really make it easier on yourself, because if they're focusing on defending, they're not focusing on attacking. So with the drop and the PDD, I force them to look in 2 places. While I have an expansion up in the top left, I'm getting another expansion, and my army's coming back up, so he can't get into my infrastructure. He was able to wipe out a lot of my army with what he had left over, and the reason why was because he had a lot of Ultralisks and Zerglings. Thors are not so good against Zerglings, and I didn't have that many Hellbats. So what happened was he had almost no drones, and he was able to take it out, but now I'm just rebuild another army, and he has nothing left because, you know, he can't rebuild what he lost. So I'm ahead. I kept producing medevacs for drops and for Hellbats. You know, just to be able to be a little bit more efficient and move a little bit more mobile around the map. So, thank you for watching, and if you enjoy these, please be sure to check out the streams. They're usually every morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Time at twitchtv.com/HTOMario, and my Twitter is HFMario with a hashtag, and then you'll see automatically, like, it updates when I stream, and it updates when I post a new video, so you can see both of them really well. And thank you for watching.